Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening for our Understanding Your Financial Aid Award presentation. My name is Rini Zamora. I serve as the Director of Campus Visits, and my job is to make sure that we get all of your questions answered tonight. I realize that paying for school can be a little scary sometimes or intimidating, and we have experts on the call tonight to make sure that you are taken care of and that you get all of your questions answered. I'd like to introduce Mr. Edward Goodrow, EJ Goodrow, who's our Executive Director of Student Financial Services, and he has a few words to say.
Thank you, Rini, for the kind introduction, and good evening, everyone. And thank you all for joining us. Like you said, I'm EJ Goodrow. I'm the Executive Director of Student Financial Services. What does that mean? Well, that encompasses financial aid, scholarship services, and military and veterans education benefits. And hopefully, like I said, if you have any questions, we'll be able to answer those tonight for you all. But with that being said, is Nicole kicking it off first, or is it Kayla? Who is kicking it off first, Rini?
I'll
I
kick it
believe
off
it's Nicole. Yeah.
first.
Okay, there we go. Thank you all again. And Nicole, the Assistant Director of Student Financial Services, take it away here.
Yeah, thank you, EJ and Rini, for putting this together. We do appreciate everyone being here tonight. Rini, did you want
I
to
do
go
want
over
to
the?
interrupt. I
Yeah,
apologize. I
go
didn't
ahead.
say
Go
this.
ahead.
I do want to remind everybody that first, this presentation is being recorded. And so if you need to reference this a little bit later, you'll be able to find this on our campus tour website, which is tour.tamucc.edu. When you visit that website, there's a block that says webinars and online experiences. You can watch that there. I also want to share that if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please use the Q&A feature down at the bottom of your screen. If you have the chat option, we can't use that tonight, but you can definitely use the Q&A feature. If there is a question that is going to be, good for the order for everybody to listen to, we'll answer that out loud. If it's more of a specific question, we'll try to respond to you and answer your question via the Q&A feature. So wanted you to be aware of that, and please feel free to let us know where you're from right now in the Q&A feature so that we can make sure that it's working and up and running before we get started. So use the Q&A feature now, and we'll give you a quick shout out. Let us know where you're from.
Mhm.
We'll give it a couple of seconds to let you start typing. We know this is a financial aid session, but don't be shy. You got this. All right, I see someone from San Angelo is typing. So it looks like our Q&A feature is working. So let's go ahead and kick it off, Nicole.
Awesome. Yes. So thank you again, Rainey, for putting this together. Happy to be here with you all this evening. So just really quickly, again, my name is Nicole Edgar. I'm the Assistant Director of Student Financial Services. I am joined with Miss Kayla Carm, our wonderful scholarship coordinator. I will pass it over to Miss Kayla once we are done going over the financial aid portion. Okay, so we will kick it off first and foremost with the FAFSA. So, what does FAFSA stand for? It stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. I do want to strongly emphasize the word free because this is a free government application. Please do not pay to have this done. Again, this is a free application for students and families to fill out on the studentaid.gov website. And so I love screenshots. So this is a screenshot of the home page of what you will see when trying to access this form on the website. So as you can see here, the application for 2627, it is available. It became available October 1 of last year, and it will remain available for some time. So that is to say, if you have not yet completed your FAFSA application, you still have plenty of time to do so. But again, we do like to stress, please do this sooner rather than later. That way we can get you on the list for the most aid possible, okay? I also want to emphasize on this page that if you have already started your FAFSA application, you are still able to edit it at this point. You'll notice that right there in the middle of your screen. And then if you are a parent joining us tonight, and if you still need to accept an invitation on behalf of your student, you will click where it says accept an invitation. You will log in as yourself, as the parent using your parent credentials. And again, that is going to be for dependent students who are required to put their parent information on FAFSA. I don't think we have anyone starting in the summer, if I'm not mistaken, but if we do, that application falls under the 25-26 academic year. So you'll notice on the very bottom right there that the 25-26 FAFSA is still available. So if you, again, are starting in the summer, that one is still available to you. One of the other things I wanted to emphasize is I'm not sure if we have any PSA folks with us tonight, but if so, please make sure that you add our school code on your FAFSA application. I cannot tell you how many times students only put Texas A&M on there. They don't put the Corpus Christi part on there. It is important that you do add the Corpus Christi, or else it's just going to go straight to College Station. So I did emphasize on this slide, I highlighted it on the top left-hand corner. That is going to be our school code. So again, please make sure that our school is on your FAFSA. Okay, so let's assume that you have already done your FAFSA or you're going to get started on it. Now let's talk a little bit about the types of financial assistance that we offer here at our institution. So we did divide this between need-based versus non-need-based aid. And so the difference is financial. So on the need-based side, which is on your left side here, financial aid is awarded based on your financial circumstances. So these types of offers that you see on the left-hand side of your screen are heavily determined by your SAI, which is your Student Aid Index. So you may have noticed when you did your FAFSA application at the very end, when you submit it, FAFSA gives you your SAI. So depending on what that number is what is going to determine what forms of aid you're eligible for. On the right-hand side, this is going to be your non-need-based forms of aid. So this is really financial aid that is not based on your student aid index. So just to kind of go over these just a little bit with you guys, if you want more in-depth information over each one of these items, please, please, please visit our website, and it has a full detailed breakdown of every single piece of these aids that you see here. So again, just to go over these really quickly, when it comes to need-based types of aid, we offer the federal Pell Grant. This is straight from the Department of Education. If you are eligible for the federal Pell Grant, you can be eligible then for the FSCOG grant, which is our Federal Supplemental Opportunity Grant. Again, you have to have Pell Grant in order to get that one. Then under need-based, we have the direct subsidized loan. So you're probably wondering, how is this considered need-based? Well, it's considered need-based because the Department of Education pays the interest rate on this particular loan while the student is in school. We also offer work study. Work study is considered need-based. So we offer it on the federal, state, and institutional level. We also offer Texas Grant. So now this is your state grants from the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. And the Texas Grant is awarded to students based on your high school academic achievements. We also offer the TPEG grant. This is the Texas Public Education Grant. And then we have some institutional aid known as the Rising Scholar Grant. On your right-hand side, again, this is non-need-based aid. It is not determined based on your SAI. And so this is going to be your direct unsubsidized loan. So now this is going to be considered an interest-bearing loan, and that is the current interest rate that you see there. We also offer the direct parent plus loan. So this is a parent loan. That parent would be responsible for applying. It does do a small credit check. And then private loans. So we do not offer private loans, but what we do here at our university is we certify them. So private loans are outside of the university. If you need more information, again, our website has a whole page dedicated to private loans. And we really want to stress responsible borrowing. So please, if you want more information, feel free to make an appointment with one of us or visit our website, especially when it comes to borrowing private loans. I do want to emphasize fast choice on there as well. That is a tool that we use. Kind of think of it as like the price line of the private loan world, right? Where it's kind of like a shopping sheet for all the private loans. It compares interest rates, all good stuff like that. So again, that is all on our website. I do also want to emphasize that the interest rates for the upcoming academic year have not yet been posted. They will post sometime in May, but I still want you all to have an idea of what those current interest rates look like. Okay, so something else that we offer here at the university is called the Islander Guarantee. Maybe all of y'all have heard about this, but if not, what Islander Guarantee is essentially is if a student does not have enough free aid to cover the full cost of tuition, we will offer students who are eligible for Islander Guarantee a grant to help cover that gap. There are certain requirements you have to meet, which again is the AGI of 125,000 or less. You also need to be Pell Grant eligible, a Texas resident. So there are certain requirements you have to meet in order to be eligible for this award here. A lot of what we see in financial aid is students and families who say, well, I do earn less than 125,000, so why don't I qualify? It is important to know that there are certain requirements you have to meet. It's not just the income. So again, I do want to stress that even though you make less than 125,000, you do need to meet other requirements in order to qualify. One of them also being you have to have completed a FAFSA by February 15th. So obviously we are past that deadline. So again, that is a very hard deadline. But if you had any extenuating circumstances where you might not have been able to submit your FAFSA by February 15th, we will look at that on a case-by-case basis. But again, the February 15th deadline is pretty strict. I do also want to emphasize this only covers tuition. This does not go towards housing and it does not go towards meal plans. That is where students will have to utilize their other sources of aid to help cover those costs. I also want to emphasize that we will only cover with Islander Guarantee up to 15 credit hours. So let's say your student registers in 16 credit hours. Again, we are only going to cover up to 15. It will be up to the student to cover the cost of that last credit hour, either with other sources of aid or out of pocket. So we kind of put a flow chart here on the bottom to show you guys how it works. So we're going to take all of your federal grants, we're going to take all of your state grants and all of that institutional aid. And if that is not enough to cover tuition, again, we will award Islander Guarantee to help supplement what is not being covered by your free aid. Okay, and don't forget, I cannot see the chat, but if y'all have any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A. We're happy to answer any questions that y'all have along the way. So we talked a little bit about,
Sorry
yes,
to
go ahead.
interrupt.
Go
There,
ahead.
there, there have been a couple of questions, but I think we'll ask them here in a little bit. But there
Sure.
is one specifically about Islander Guarantee, and
Okay.
they're asking when that specific award notice will go out.
Mhm. Right. So we just started awarding not too long ago for our freshman students in particular. So we are getting those award packages out here. I would say within the next week or so, students can start seeing their packages for the 26-27. And so if you do not see Islander Guarantee, but you think that you're eligible based on the requirements, please give us a call. And then we will definitely check your eligibility for the Islander Guarantee. And again, thank you for asking this question because I do want to emphasize that if you are fully covered with tuition, you will not see Islander Guarantee as part of your package. Okay, so again, I don't want you to be discouraged if you don't see Islander Guarantee. Again, it's probably because we're taking into consideration all your other sources of aid. So again, if you really feel strongly that you're eligible for Islander Guarantee, but you don't see it, contact us and we'll be happy to walk you through that.
And now that I see that you're on the sale page, there is a question about when I try to look at my financial aid through sale, it
Hmm.
says that I'm not allowed to view the page. Why does
Hmm.
this happen? Is it because the awards haven't gone out yet?
It is, so there could be a couple of reasons as to why a student is not able to see anything in sale. One of the top reasons is we do not have your FAFSA. So even if you did a FAFSA application and you just might not have been awarded quite yet, you're still going to be able to get into sale and kind of navigate a little bit. So I would be curious to see if you added our school code on your FAFSA, and if you're positive you did, just let us know. And at the end here, we can take a look at that.
And I'll just build off that real quick. So for all of our incoming students for 26, 27, we just completed all of our processes to get that on a schedule. So if you do have issues seeing your fast for 26, 27, please let us know. Like Nicole said, it's maybe we have a fast one file or there's like, something going on in the back end with our database. But yeah, no, those things should be on a schedule right now. So
Yes,
And
absolutely.
for the student that asked that question, just know that at the very end of this slide of the presentation, there's going to be an opportunity to get their phone number and their email,
Mhm.
or just schedule a QR code to schedule a future appointment.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Okay, yeah, no, all great questions. Please continue to ask. So we talked a little bit about FAFSA. We talked about submitting your FAFSA. We talked about sources of aid that we offer. So now I want to switch gears to navigating sale. This is how you're really going to start understanding your aid. So when it comes to sale, this is what, again, I love screenshots. So this is what you are going to see when you're trying to log into your sale. And I did put the website there at the very top of your screen. So on the left-hand side, if you are a parent or guardian, that is how you will navigate sale, is you will click login for authorized user. But for the purposes of this presentation today, we're just going to assume that everyone here is the student navigating sale themselves, which is where you'll click on the very bottom as a student where it says sale login. Okay, so once you log in, you'll notice it'll have your name at the top right. It says sale in the middle. So not a lot going on the home page, but I do want to kind of go through these tabs just really quickly. So the first three are more so catered towards the business office, right? But I still want to emphasize them. So when you see personal information, please, please, please make sure your information is up to date, especially for code blue purposes. You always want to make sure your address, your cell phone, especially. Everything is up to date. Code Blue is the system that we use here to alert students to all kinds of things, outages, inclement weather, whether classes are getting canceled or not. So it's very important that in sale, you're keeping your personal info up to date. If you were to click the student tab, that is where you're going to be able to do a multitude of things. One of them being ordering transcripts. You can view your current class schedule if you need to. So again, I highly encourage you, if you haven't already, just go into sale and just start clicking some buttons just to sort of familiarize yourself with it. On the registration tab, this is where you're going to be able to browse classes, look up classes, and ultimately get registered in classes. And then, so for the purposes of our presentation today, we're going to show you the financial aid / account tab. So you'll notice that there's two items on here, which is financial aid and student account. Kayla, you can go to the next one from here. Okay, perfect. So we're going to assume that you clicked on student account. And you're probably wondering, well, what does this have to do with financial aid? Well, it somewhat goes hand in hand with financial aid, and this tab is very, very important, especially if you're utilizing financial aid. And here is why. This is where you are able, if you click on student account, this is where you can view your bill / payment suite. So right now, you guys do not yet have a bill because you're not yet registered. Once you get registered, once you sign up for housing, once you select your meal plan, this is where you will go to view your whole comprehensive bill. It's going to have your statements. You can pull up old statements from prior terms if you need to. But I also want to emphasize this is also where you will do any payment arrangements. So if you're looking into doing an installment plan, maybe even an emergency tuition loan, this is where you will go to do it. Where you see Flywire, this is where you can make international payments. The most important one when it comes to the financial aid side, in my opinion, is the middle, which is your student refunds. So what this means is if you accepted excess financial aid than what your bill is, we do not hang on to those funds. We have to send those funds to you as the student. And so this is where you're going to set up your refund preference. So you'll notice there it says Bank Mobile. That is the third-party vendor that our institution uses to assist with student refunds. So again, if you are once you accept your financial aid, which we'll go over that in a second, compare it to your bill. And if you see you have excess financial aid, you need to immediately go set up your refund preference, because what's going to happen is if you don't, the business office will ultimately result in sending you a check in the mail, and it takes a lot longer to get versus having direct deposit on file and you get it in a couple of days. Even if you're not expecting a refund, I would still encourage you to set this up anyway, because you just never know when your bill, when you're at a $0 balance during the semester and you get maybe, let's say, a scholarship later in the semester, right? So that would ultimately be a refund to you because you're already paid up, right? So again, please make sure you're navigating sale to set up your refund preference. The 1098-T is for tax purposes. The business office will post your 1098-T here the beginning of every academic year. And so that is what you can take to your tax preparer if you need. And then this, the last tab is to view your financial responsibility agreement. Okay, so now we're going to go back and assume instead of clicking, Rini, I saw you turn your camera on. Go ahead, go
So
ahead.
interrupt really quickly. There was one question that came in earlier. So
Yep.
someone is asking about special circumstances. Will that be touched on here in a little bit, or can we answer that now?
So it's not a part of this presentation, but I was going to touch on it later very briefly, but we can absolutely do it now. So a special circumstance is when you submit your FAFSA application, but it is not an actual representation of what your family is making today. So we do have a form on our website. It is called a special circumstance application. Please look at that very closely with you and your family. If you feel like, again, the student aid index is too high, or if you feel like the AGI that you had to put on FAFSA was too high, it's not what you're making in 2026. Please do a special circumstance because that is what will allow us financial aid representatives to go into FAFSA and update those numbers. But we can only do that with that special circumstance application. And if you need any additional clarification, put it in the chat. I'll be happy to clarify further. So back to sale, we're going to assume that instead of clicking student account, you clicked financial aid. And so this is what you will see if you have already done your FAFSA application, right? So this is the smack in the middle, the home page of what you'll see when you click financial aid. So you'll notice it has your student requirements. So this is a student where you can see submitted their application. It says free application for federal student aid. It says complete. It's checked off. It's green. If we were missing anything from you, it's going to have a red X. It's going to say required. So again, I just kind of wanted to give y'all a visual of what it looks like. And the reason I really want to strongly emphasize this page is if you have any pending requirements right here that are not satisfied, it can absolutely hinder your aid from paying out successfully. So it is very important that you are satisfying all student requirements. If you, even at this point today, if you've already submitted your FAFSA, but you haven't navigated sale yet, I highly encourage you, take some time this evening to log in and look at your requirements to see if you have anything pending, because again, we don't want that to hinder your aid from paying out.
I had a question about
Yes.
unsatisfactory requirements. Someone is saying that they went in and did them a while ago, but it still hasn't changed. I'm
Okay.
wondering how long that might take to get updated.
Yeah, good question. So it really depends on what requirement you're referring to. That could take longer than others. So I would be curious to hear, and you don't have to put it in the Q&A because I don't want to. Um, I want to be mindful of your privacy. But if you notice that there has been something pending for quite some time, please reach out to us. We'll be happy to take a further look into that to see what's going on.
And then just going back to the special circumstance form,
Yes.
I believe they're saying that they've completed it and that
Okay.
they had to download the application to edit it, but now they don't see where to submit it. Is it an online form?
It's actually a electronic form. It is not a form that you download. So you'll notice when you click special circumstance, it's going to actually prompt you to log into Sale, and that's something that you're going to do electronically. You do not download it. So you can log back in, and I think you should be able to pick back up where you left off. But if not, then yeah, you'll have to sort of start from the beginning.
Okay, so for the anonymous user that asked that question, just make sure that you get it done soon. And if you need to check the status
Mhm.
of it, they can contact the office to
Yeah.
confirm if it's been received. Thank
That
you.
is correct. Yeah. So special circumstances, they do take a little bit longer to process just because we have to do a lot of investigating on our side when we're processing those. So yeah, please get that in sooner rather than later. That way we can take a look at that. Kayla, you can go to the next slide, please. Awesome. Okay, so right next to the home page is where you're going to see your offer. So this is probably going to be everyone's favorite, right? So again, this is a screenshot of what a student will see on their offer page. So right at the top, it's going to have your expected enrollment status. Again, emphasis on expected. And then it's also going to have your cost of attendance. So again, this is just a screenshot. Don't look at this and say, oh my God, this is my cost of attendance. No, this is just an example that I pulled up for you guys. But one of the really important things I wanted to emphasize was, again, your cost of attendance is broken up between billable versus non-billable items. I cannot tell you how many times we get phone calls with students and families saying, oh my gosh, I need all this money to attend your institution. Or why are you guys billing me for books? Why are y'all billing me for transportation? We do not bill you for certain pieces of items. We only bill you for tuition and fees, housing, and meal plan. Those are the only items we in financial aid can bill you for. So tuition and fees, obviously, you will be billed for as you register. Housing, you will be billed for as you sign a lease, and meal plan. So if you're at Miramar, you're required to have a meal plan and you will be billed for that. But again, non-billable items, we don't bill you for any loan fees. We don't bill you for any books. We don't bill you for transportation. Those are all estimations. If you were to scroll down on the offer page, it is then going to have your offers broken up between grants and loans. On that page, you'll be able to either accept, decline, or modify. So you will have the option to do those three things on the offer page when you're viewing your sources of aid that you have been offered. So I do want to emphasize that when it comes to loans, please make sure that you are doing responsible borrowing. Again, go back and look at what your tuition cost is, look at your housing and meal plan as a whole. And I encourage you to only take out what you need, especially when it comes to loans. Okay, so the next tab you will see in SAIL is Financial Aid History. So this is a tab that I think, in my opinion, is underutilized. But this tab is going to show you all your history while you have been at the university. So if you ever call us and say, I don't remember taking out this loan before, the first thing we're going to do is tell you to go check your financial aid history. So again, this is displaying everything you have taken out at our institution. Grants, loans. It's also going to have work study. It'll show you all the wages that you've earned if you're participating in that program. So it's a very useful tool throughout your duration here at our institution. The next tab you'll see in SAIL is called Resources. So this is a really good tab that has a lot of great information. And so I'll go over, so everything you see here on the bottom is what you will see in the Resources tab. You'll see the terms and conditions of financial aid. You'll see us talking a little bit about adjusting your aid due to non-attendance. So it is very important that if you are taking out sources or accepting rather, very important that if you're accepting aid that you are attending your classes. We do partner with the registrar's office who will inform us if your professor has reported you as not attending. And depending on what sort of aid you have accepted, we will have to go in there and adjust your aid. So just again, very important that you're attending your classes, excuse me. I also want to emphasize Title IV. So very important that if you're considering withdrawing for the term, that you let us know. That way we can talk to you about the Title IV process. There's a lot of good information about dropping classes prior to census. And so if you are taking classes, let's just say, for example, you're full-time and you decide to drop down to half-time and we're still within that census time frame, which is the first 12 class days, do know that your aid will be adjusted based on your enrollment. So if we pay your aid out at full-time enrollment and you drop classes prior to census, your aid will be adjusted, which may result in a balance owed to the university. So please, please, please be careful with that. Unofficial withdrawals. If you have all earned Fs for the term, you more than likely will owe a balance to university and we will have to perform a Title IV. Loans. Under this tab, it's going to talk about loans. It's going to talk about responsible borrowing. It's going to talk about you need to be enrolled at least half-time in order to take out a loan. And then this is also the tab where you will see any private scholarships that you receive. I want to emphasize private scholarships. Kayla will talk to you about Scholarship Universe, where you'll be able to view your institutional scholarships. So I really want to emphasize that if you receive private scholarships outside of the university, maybe your job offers a scholarship to you, maybe you're part of a church organization. If they mail us a check, this is where you will see that scholarship posted is under the resources tab. So this tab has a lot of information. So please make sure you're going through it and you're reading through all of this great information. Okay, on the notifications tab, so our office, well, I would probably argue most offices on campus primarily uses email and SAIL to communicate with our students. So the notifications tab is where you will see any important messages from our office. This is where you'll see your award notification, if we had to make any adjustments. Remember, I just talked about having to make adjustments. If you're requesting any additional info, status updates, anything, you will see under the notifications tab. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about satisfactory academic progress. So this is the next tab that you will see in your SAIL, and this is going to let you know if you're in good standings with financial aid, not the university. This is just on the financial aid side, letting you know if you are eligible, and it's going to show you your continued eligibility as well. And so I really want to emphasize that we do have a policy where undergrad students, if you are utilizing financial aid, you must maintain a 2.0 GPA with a 67% completion rate. This means you're completing at least 67% of your courses overall, not just your institutional completion rate. We look at everything overall. Grad students, I don't think I have any grad students here, so I'll skip that one. But I do want to strongly emphasize our office, we completely understand that life happens, right? We understand that students experience extenuating circumstances, oftentimes beyond our control. If you fall into a situation where you do go on financial aid suspension, we do have a process in place. It's called a SAP appeal, and that is what you see on the right-hand side of your screen. So I don't want to get too much into this, but just for y'all's peace of mind, know that if you do experience any life-altering events and you do fall on financial aid suspension, we do have a process in place for that. So just come, reach out to us, and we will help you navigate this.
Can I just add, for going back to SAP,
Of course.
I think one of the most common things that we see with our incoming freshmen is that they maybe didn't do so well with dual credit.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that point, they might have their
Yeah.
SAP or made an unsatisfactory SAP. So it's important that y'all
Yes.
log into the sale and check
Yes.
those notices so that you can contact financial aid if necessary.
Great
Sorry, just wanted to
point.
add that because we
No.
see a lot of the freshmen that come in maybe because they didn't do so well in
Mhm.
dual credit.
That is correct. No, and thank you for bringing that up, Rini, because yeah, we do see that a lot where we have incoming freshmen come to our university, but you have dual credit hours on your transcripts. And yeah, and if you didn't do so well, again, that could put you where you're already starting off on financial aid suspension. So please check this tab in your sale. If you have some time this evening, check it. It'll let you know whether or not you're in good standings or not. Great point, Rini. So on the last tab of sale, you're going to see your college financing plan. So this is something that should already be available to you as a freshman student. So again, this is just a breakdown of your tuition, your fees. It's going to have your estimated cost of attendance. It'll also have your financial aid on there. And so I want to emphasize this because if you are expecting a private scholarship, a lot of the times they're going to ask you for this college financing plan. So again, this is something that you are able to print out. You can save it as a PDF, whatever you need, but it is a really neat tool if you are finding yourself in a situation where you need to provide this to an outside source. Okay, and I will turn things over to Miss Kayla Carm.
Hey everybody, like Nicole said, my name is Kayla Carm. I'm the scholarship coordinator here at A&M Corpus Christi. I'm just going to talk about how to apply for scholarships. So all of our scholarships are going to be in Scholarship Universe. Those are all institutional scholarships. They're donor funded. So you'll apply for all of those through Scholarship Universe, and you'll use your TAMU-CC login. So the email and password you set up when you were first admitted, that is the information you will use to log into Scholarship Universe. When you log into Scholarship Universe, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to show your dashboard. If you are awarded any scholarships, on the right-hand side, it's going to tell you to take action. That's where you're going to be able to accept the scholarship and then submit a thank you letter. So when you're submitting your thank you letter, it is going to require you to submit a photo of yourself. Please make sure it's just a professional photo. So just a nice picture of you. Some students use their graduation pictures. You can use those, and you'll just put it in your Scholarship Universe account, and that will attach to your profile. So that will be the same photo that's used for any scholarship you do receive. You'll submit the thank you letter. That will go to the donors. They'll review it and then see what you wrote as well. On the right or left-hand side, we're going to go more into detail right now about that. So when you log in, you're going to want to answer the questions. That's going to assist in matching you to additional scholarships. Most of this information does already get pulled into the system from your Apply Texas application, your high school transcripts. If you have college transcripts, it'll get pulled from there. So most of them will already be answered. There's going to be more questions that match you to specific scholarships. I'm going to use the study abroad one for an example. If you are going on a study abroad program trip, you will need to make sure to answer that study abroad question. If you don't answer it, then you won't be able to apply for it and you won't see it as a match on your scholarship universe. So definitely keep checking that questions tab periodically just to see if there is any new questions that are added. It's not typically where we go in and add additional questions, but if it's something we have to require a question, then we will. So the next one is going to be the scholarships tab. This is going to be where you can apply for scholarships. So that's the next step you're going to want to click on after answering those scholarship questions. And this is what it'll look like under the scholarships tab. You're going to see matches, the PIN scholarships, partial matches, applications submitted, non-matches, and not interested. On the right-hand side, hopefully you can see my mouse, is going to be a block if you're not interested in the scholarship or if you don't meet the requirements. Just feel free to do that and then it'll put where you're not interested. On our scholarships, if you're applying, it's going to match you to scholarships. You're going to see where these two are under one organization, these are under a different. So you're going to push apply and it's going to apply you to all of those scholarships that are under that organization. So if you have 15 matches that are under the university application, then it will match you to, or apply for all of those at one time. So you're not submitting 15 applications separately. The only time it will require that is if the scholarship requires an essay and you have to submit that as a separate application. Scholarships do not take long. They're super simple, and I will show an example of what an application looks like. As I was mentioning, there's the matches, partial matches, and not interested. So if you're not interested, you're just going to click on the little block button. That's if you have a scholarship. If you don't want to apply for it, don't want to keep seeing it, just feel free to put that not interested button and it won't populate anymore. Under your matches, those are the scholarships you meet all of the requirements for. So it could be major, could be GPA, could be the questions. You meet every single requirement that scholarship requires. So you will be able to apply. You'll just click the apply button and submit that application. Under your partial matches, you're just missing one or two of those requirements. So it could be that you're missing a FAFSA. It could be that you're missing the GPA requirement or the major. If you do have some partial matches and you ever have questions why you're not matching, if you feel like you should match, just feel free to send us an email. We can let you know why you didn't match to those. One thing is right now we only have our need-based scholarships open. Those will close on April 15th. So if you applied and been admitted, which all of you have, definitely log into your Scholarship Universe account to see if you do have any matches that you can apply for. If you've done a FAFSA, those will only populate if you've done a FAFSA and it shows you have financial need, because you do have to have need to apply for those. So this is what a scholarship application is going to look like. When I say a scholarship application is super simple, this is what I mean. You're just going to verify your information, make sure it's all correct. You're going to push submit. It's going to bring you to a screen that states out it's going to go to a committee that they're going to be reviewing and making award decisions. And then you're going to click submit again and you've applied. So it takes less than 5 minutes to apply for these scholarships. So definitely try to log in and do those. So for the review and awarding process for scholarships, this typically happens about a month after the scholarships close, but we can still award scholarships throughout the semester. So if we have a student who's awarded one of our scholarships and they end up not attending, we do have to re-award it. So you could still receive scholarships into the first few weeks of courses. And Scholarship Universe will also send a weekly email to you. So if you've applied for a scholarship ever, you'll receive an email, I believe it's every Tuesday, letting you know if scholarships are going to be opening, and then updates about scholarships that are coming. So this screen is going to have the QR code for Scholarship Universe. If you've never logged in, definitely scan that and then go into it and start applying. You'll use your TAMU-CC login, so your I learned your email and password. And then all of our deadlines are going to be on the left-hand side. So I would just take a picture of the screen so you have it for your records. Our fall applications have already closed, but we do have our fall need-based open. And those will close, like I said, on April 15th. And then we will have spring ones opening August 15th and closing November 15th. And our summer ones will have February 15th through March 31st. I'll give everybody just a little bit to take a picture. And then for reaching out to us, if you ever have any questions, no matter if you think it's a silly question or not, please reach out. We are happy to help. We're in office Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. There's always somebody who's answering phone calls or emails, and we'd be happy to answer anything you have. If you have any questions about your FAFSA, need assistance, feel free to reach out to the financial aid office. Their email and phone number is on the screen. Their phone number is going to be the 361-825-2338. And then their email is the faoweb@tamucc.edu. Or if you have scholarship questions, want to know more about how to apply, you need a refresher, just feel free to email us at the scholarship email, which is scholarships@tamucc.edu. We also do take appointments online. So if you ever need more in-depth, we can book virtual appointments. So we do phone, Teams, and in person. And then those you can schedule on our website. Is there any questions?
Thank you, Kayla. I just wanted to emphasize too, I always like to end presentations by saying, please advocate for yourselves. If you find that your financial aid is not looking how you thought it would, call us, make an appointment with us. We are committed to ensuring your success here at the university, but it does start with you. You have to advocate for yourselves. So as Kayla mentioned, we take appointments. You don't even need an appointment sometimes. Just come on in and walk in and we'll be happy to sit with you. But again, we are dedicated in making sure you're taken care of here at our university.
To wrap up, I just wanted to also share that we have some upcoming webinars. So please feel free to join us. They're offered on Tuesdays at 6 o'clock. Our next one will be in May. If you're registered for orientation, this is a good session to join so that we can let you know what to expect and how to prepare for that event. And then for those of you living on campus, we'll also have some details on moving in. If you've never visited campus, we'll have an open house called Island Day, our big preview event on April 25th. So you're welcome to join that as well. But other than that, if there's any closing remarks from the financial aid staff, they're welcome to share. But we want to thank you for joining us, and Q&A feature is still open. So if there's any last minute questions, please feel free to ask, and we'll go from there. We'll give it a couple of seconds in case there are any last minute questions. And just friendly reminder, this is getting recorded and will be posted on our website by end of the night. Okay, so Nicole, there was a student that chatted earlier, and he had a special question, and so I had him email you, and he was just wondering when he'll get responded to, and so maybe tomorrow.
My boss will tell you I respond quick. So I got you in the morning. Don't even worry. You'll get an answer in the morning, I promise.
All right. Well, other than that, I think we're good. Financial aid team, thank you so much. And for everybody else, we will get this recording posted. And if you have any questions, contact us. Y'all have a good night. Bye.
Thank you all.